Whoa! Hey, Mike, it's time to watch Police Story. Come on in, man. Let's do this.
Did you say Police Story?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
Have a seat. I'll pop it in.
Hell yeah.
All right. Let's do this.
Okay. I don't
Hello.
know why I say okay. It's like we're just chilling. I'm like, hey, Matt, it's the
Whoa.
first time I've ever seen you.
How did we get here?
We should do a commentary on this podcast.
Yeah. Already tried it and succeeded.
Yeah, it's true. I don't even know if I still have that. Did I ever upload that? Or
It doesn't matter. We did it.
That's true, but I'm saying like just to go back and listen to it would be a moment posterity. So speaking of revolutionary ideas in podcasting, this week it's Jackie Chan. He's all about being... Is his real last name Chan? And is his first real name Jackie?
I don't know what his real name is.
But regardless, he's an international super star. I was going to say super spy, but that he was only in one movie. It was a spy
only in the movies.
And we've got Jackie Chan Adventures, the only cartoon I'm pretty sure that he starred in, unless there's something that I'm unaware of. And Police Story 1. Not 2, not 3, not 4. Yeah.
Ah, nice picks.
I know, right? Pretty excited.
Yeah. Excited to talk about Police Story.
I guess let's get into weird watches then for
All
Jackie
right.
Chan Adventures, unless you have anything else to say.
No, it was a weird watch. So successful weird watch.
Cool. So
Because it was weird.
I guess had you ever heard? I guess you hadn't heard of this because last time I brought it up, you seemed
Nope,
kind of
never heard of it.
Or not confused.
I'm like,
you're like,
what's the show?
where am I? I actually have had previous dealings with this show. I actually watch this show every once in a while back
That's
in the
awesome.
day.
I don't know how I missed
And
it.
thought it was pretty cool. I'd never watched it to the extent where I really followed what was going on, because they end up having a bunch of story arcs that happen in the show. Like the big guy turns good at one point.
Okay.
But other than that, that's all I remember from it.
Okay.
When I looked up posters and stuff for this to make the art for our podcast, there was a poster of a bunch of characters. I had no fucking clue who they were, and I guess that was maybe from one of the later seasons. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but
They also made a PS2 game based on this cartoon. Did you play that?
I tried. I downloaded or I procured the game, and
You purchased it legally.
It wouldn't play on my computer. It kept crashing.
Sucks.
But
I'm sure it was a masterpiece.
it looked,
Only game better was Austin Powers Pinball.
it looked like dog shit. It had a stylized look to it, but it was not a style anybody would want to be proud of. But I guess if anybody doesn't know what Jackie Chan Adventures is, it kind of explains itself. It's Jackie Chan, except for he plays a fictionalized version of himself, who's essentially Indiana Jones, and then he gets recruited into being James Bond as well. Mm-hmm. But every other movie he's ever done, he's already like he's an everyman, but he is like already a badass. Like he can do all these stunts. Obviously, it's a drawn, but like it's pretty close to what the stuff is in his movies, as far as except for of course like the magical stuff and all this other crap. But like
it reminded me of his character from the Operation Condor movies, where he basically is Indiana Jones.
Right.
But yeah, cool premise. I set up for hijinks.
Yeah, I think that like to me like I liked watching it again. I was like, oh, this is cool because I'd never seen the first episode, and it was cool, but at the same time, it was one of those things where like, I don't know, like I won't say I would never go back and maybe watch like the intro is probably like the best part of it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Where he inserts himself into the intro in real form, like Super Mario Brothers Super Show style, and he like is crawling around and like sneaking and like there's a part where he's like running from these dudes and he goes into like I guess the shop where his uncle works, and they cut to Jackie's real face and he's like "Rrr," like makes like a I don't know, the shocked face he always makes.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it. I'm glad we watched it. I thought it looked really cool. The animation was nice.
Yeah.
Although I watched it on Amazon, and I felt like there was some digital compression going on.
Yeah.
Which made it look crappier than it should have.
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube, and I didn't have that. But I do remember watching it on certain services before, like I think years ago on Amazon. And it had this weird, like you said, digital
pixelization a little bit.
When it shouldn't have looked like that.
Yeah, so that kind of bothered me.
But no, I totally agree with you. That was kind of weird. I was like, because I remember that from years ago. What did you... I remember one of the things I always remember from this show, other than Jackie Chan not voicing the character, obviously, which I found out later, but is it's like the uncle is this huge like bastard, or he's a bastard. He's like kind of like nagging Jackie the whole time, and he's got like a Columbo ripoff thing going on where he always says one more thing to him. And then of course he's got like a niece in this, which obviously they put that in, it seems like, for the kids that are watching the show. But yeah, I mean,
the kids who love Columbo and Jackie Chan.
Yeah. But I had a fun time watching this because it brought me back, and I was like, oh, this reminds me of like when they redid Turtles and brought it back like the 2001 or 3 or whatever it was version and stuff, when it had like that unique art style and stuff. It was very of that era. Yeah.
It looked nice though, and I appreciated the it seemed like they really focused on the action scenes. Like that was the best part of the animation, was in the action.
Yeah,
that was really cool. Usually that's the worst.
Yeah, going back, I was shocked. I was like, this looks freaking really good for a cartoon that like wasn't like a short run like an anime or something that was like pretty much, put out just for the sake of action or something. Like usually if it was something that was just put out for kids, sometimes, like you said, the action would be like when we watched Karate Kid, it was like the action.
It was garbage.
A lot of it just was like made no sense, and it would just stuff would happen. Like people would defy the laws of physics for the sake of the thing. And this, it was like there were things that actually would happen at Jackie Chan movie. Like at one point, he was tailing these guys, and he fell from the roof and fell under their car, and he was just like, "Oops," like that kind of a thing. It was just. It felt very much like a Jackie Chan movie, which was really cool. I liked as far as the art style goes, I like the whole like the backgrounds are all like watercolor paintings essentially, but like the characters are like really detailed so it's not like the whole thing looks like a certain way. It's they focused their time and energy on the stuff that mattered. Which I thought was legit. Also, like the guy that's bald is played by the guy that fucking voiced Lex Luthor in the cartoons, Clancy Brown, which I forgot about that until I watched it.
Yeah,
again,
his voice is so recognizable.
Wait a minute. But he's
been in so much stuff. Yeah. But I always think my favorite Clancy Brown role was the Kurgan in Highlander.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the guy that like did some horrible shit. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, Lex Luthor is like definitely the character. I mean, obviously that's the thing that made him was that character, from Highlander.
The Kurgan.
Kurgan. But
chopped Sean Connery's head off.
It's like, he cut his head off. But yeah, Lex Luthor is definitely like, I think like his next big role that I think of when like after that Lex Luthor. In like the Batman animated stuff.
He should have been him in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people, they should have honestly done a live action with all the voice actors, and it would have been a billion times better than a lot of the
literally anyone would have been better than what's his name?
Michael Eisenberg, or wait,
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg. He's like, yeah, there's just like a lot of like underhanded stuff. Like they have this something in this that's like not like the Foot Clan. They're called like the Dark Hand. Mm-hmm. It's like,
and they're actual like ghosts.
Yeah, they're like ghost ninjas or something.
I liked how the villains were like goblins almost.
Yeah,
they're like creatures, kind of. They're like half man, half creature.
Like, yeah,
that was pretty cool.
And then apparently, like, I thought, I didn't know this, like, but like I guess I always assumed that his like this person was related to Jackie Chan that plays his niece because they have the same last name. But I mean, I guess that doesn't mean anything. But at the same time, I thought maybe he just got like someone he knew, like his cousin or something. But like she's played by Stacy Chan, but she's not related to Jackie Chan. So, and then James C. voices Jackie Chan, which I remember like back in the day, I was like, man, Jackie Chan's voicing this cartoon. And then later on, I found out it wasn't him, and I was just like, wasn't really disappointing because it doesn't sound horrible. Mm-hmm. It's just, you know,
doesn't sound like Jackie Chan.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall, and then they set up the premise for like they've got like these talismans that are going to be like the thing for the show that are like these magical things. Did you watch the ending where like they asked Jackie the question? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if we had the same one here, but I would assume they would be tied to the episode and not just randomly put in. But there's this question that he always answers at the end of like each episode, which is another thing I remembered about the show, because that was always cool to see like Jackie Chan, just in general, especially on TV, because usually it's like he's a big like a movie dude, so like, you know, like they ask him like, hey, why did you want to make this cartoon or whatever? And he's like, when I was young, I always liked cartoons. I really hope someday I can be a cartoon character. Cartoon can do all kinds of things I cannot do in real life. After so many years, people, he says people, the children still remember me today. My dream comes true. I love cartoon. So it's essentially like, you know, well, like, I'll be remembered forever. Well, it's like, well, you've done a billion movies too, so.
Yeah, but I mean, of any human, he is the most like a cartoon of almost anyone else, like a human cartoon, the stuff he can do. So
that, or if like they did like a Buster Keaton cartoon, which I'm sure they probably tried pitching that at one point. Which I wonder if they've ever done something like that. Probably not. That'd be cool though. Or would it? So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yep. It was a good pick.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't turn off an episode if it was on.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing is like I liked the show and everything, mm-hmm. but it's not something where I would just go out of my way and watch it unless it was for this podcast. But at the same time, like you said, I wouldn't turn it off. So overall, it was good to go back and rewatch it. So I think that's pretty much all there is to be said about Jackie Chan Adventures. But not all there is to say about Jackie Chan himself. Because up next, Police Story enters the scene. It's on the crime scene.
One of his many masterpieces.
Yeah. So, I guess, when did you first hear about this film? For you, at least. Kind of a while back, I assume.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I knew about Jackie Chan in the mid-'90s when he's kind of, his international fame came over to the U.S., and then he started making some movies that came out in the U.S.
Yeah.
The first being Rumble in the Bronx, which we saw in theaters.
Yeah.
So I was super interested and wanted to learn all I could.
It's kind of like shocking the first time you see a Jackie Chan movie, if you're like, especially if you're into like any sort of like I guess I don't. It's martial arts or whatever. Even though Jackie Chan does more like theatrical than most martial arts stuff, it's more like, I don't know. In the special features for Police Story, he talks about like his style is different because he tries to make it look like a play or like a circus act or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's like playing to the crowd more and stuff. Whereas like, he's like some of the, action that, American action or other action, it's just like kill and all this other stuff. So right. Jackie Chan's always about, for the most part, like just disarming somebody or like defending himself.
So like ever since we were 10 years old, I've wanted to see every Jackie Chan movie, and that's been my quest.
Yeah.
So, and when I finally did see Police Story, I was like, oh, this is probably the best one. What'd you think? Or what's your history?
Well, it's funny because like the one that like I remember the most is like Drunken Master 2, which depending on what version you get, it's just called Drunken Master, even though there's a previous one.
Yeah, or Legend of the Drunken Master. Which I think you could argue that that's his best. But just my personal preference is the Jackie movies that take place in the present, because then he can incorporate like vehicles and stuff into his stunts, which to me is just makes it a little bit more spectacular. But sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. I think that like that was probably the first one that I can remember like buying maybe at like Best Buy and like seeing at home and being like kind of like blown away.
Yeah.
But of course there's other ones I've bought, that I've watched and stuff, and like obviously like his work with Owen Wilson and Chris Tucker on the Shanghai Noon and Nights and like Rush Hour franchises were definitely something that like kind of blew his career up even more than it already was, because there were definitely like people that people all around the world, and especially in like Asian countries, that knew of Jackie Chan. Like he was huge, but like in America, like there was kind of a small subset of people that like knew him from, like you said, like Operation Condor and then like Drunken Master. But then when he like did these movies that were like New Line Cinema and all these other ones, it was like that blew up, and that's when they started like re-releasing stuff on DVDs and Blu-ray, and they kind of did some of the what they do, like they made like Operation Condor 2-1 or something, or Golden, what was it?
They released Operation Condor 2 in the U.S. as Operation Condor, and then that was a huge hit. And they were like, oh, let's release Operation Condor 1 and call it Operation Condor 2. Since
so it's like fucked up, flipped. I'm sure like the re-releases have fixed that now, I would assume.
Yeah,
but like back then it was kind of like a clusterfuck. People, I think they were like snatching up every movie they could from Jackie Chan and trying to release them.
But I think we saw like every single one that came out in theaters. Like First Strike was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Up until a certain point where it was like around the time of the Tuxedo.
Yeah.
It kind of started.
He did like the Tuxedo, and he did like the Spy, and like they started to become less about like the cool stunts and like shocking stuff that he could do, or like just the good plots of the movies. I mean, the plots I guess weren't ever like the greatest, but they were like at least grounded. But then he started doing like the Tuxedo, where he wears like a suit that makes him be able to do the stuff, and then he was like a spy. I think that like I don't know. I can't even remember, because he did so many like crappy ones like that. There was like the Medallion where he like dies at the end.
Oh, really? I don't think I ever saw that.
And I like fell asleep. Then there was like the one where he was.
He had to babysit a bunch of kids.
Yeah, there's a babysitting one, and I was just like, okay, Jackie Chan's too good to have to be doing this crap.
Yeah,
but
Police Story.
Yeah,
you hadn't actually sat down and watched the whole thing until this time.
So I didn't think I did, but as soon as the first scene happened, I was like, wait, I've seen this film before. But it was a good rewatch because I had forgotten a couple things, but I hadn't forgotten any of the action scenes. So I knew it was going to happen for the most part, but I forgot a couple things. But it's almost like it's funny because I don't remember specifically sitting down and watching this film, but I must have at some point. But it's like the stunt sequences, because they're action, but they're definitely more stunt sequences than anything. But they're forgettable.
Yeah, they're some of the best of all time.
And it's mainly for like how stupid some of the stuff was that like he ends up doing, but like it's just good that like nobody died and that like it was captured on film, because otherwise it's like this would be like a Jackass kind of movie.
It's almost a snuff film. Like you're almost watching people get killed left and right. I think I don't know that I could say I admire it, but it's what makes these movies so amazing.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, like without
these guys were doing these stunts knowing they were really going to get hurt.
The Jackie Chan like stunt team and everybody like this film was starred and directed by Jackie Chan, who also wrote the screenplay with like another person, and he has this whole like team around him, like the Jackie Chan stunt team. And in the special features, he was talking about how like, you know, some people like pray to God or Buddha or like whoever and stuff, and he's like, I end up pretty much like will rely on my team because I know when they're around me, like I'm fine. That's like how close he is to these people, because it's like they give him like the courage to do these stunts. Like in one of the scenes when he, at the end of the movie, he was talking about some dude came over and put like a little like Buddha in his like pocket, and even though he like doesn't believe, he's like, that guy believes, and he like I'll take anything I can get. And it's just like, because once we talk about like some of these scenes and like, you know, you'll see some of them if I'm able to get away with putting them in the beginning of this. It's unbelievable to think that anybody would do something like that. Not only do it, but like he had no, like if he fucked it up, he was dead.
Yep.
Especially the last one, like.
Which, yeah, we'll talk about that. But like, when I first learned about Jackie Chan, it was like, oh, he's the action star that does all of his own stunts. Right. Yeah. Which is not technically true.
Right. He has the. But they all kind of.
He still does the gnarliest ones.
Right.
Like,
but it's also like they all. It's like he does stunts, and then like.
The stuff that they do is like just as intense as what he does.
And they'll also have times when like they'll do the same stunts and then they'll just piece it together from different angles. If it has to be, if for whatever reason like one of them gets it and Jackie Chan can't get it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But they'll still use like everything they can, and it's like they all did the stunts. It's just, you know, depends on what works best for film, which I appreciate that, rather than being like, well, we're not going to use this stunt at all because Jackie Chan's face wasn't like, he cares more about like what's on film than what, you know, because he always talks up his like team, and it's just like we're all, you know, and he was talking about how many stunts were done by like the other people, and like, you know.
Yeah. I've seen most of his movies up to this point, and like I'm getting pretty good at spotting when it's him or one of the other guys. But like I'm still blown away by like, I just told you I just watched Crime Story recently, and there's a scene where he falls down like this huge tube, and he like clangs against a bunch of pipes and stuff on the way down. And I was like, oh, that's one of the other guys. And then he hits the ground and rolls over, and it's Jackie Chan.
And you're like, wait a minute,
you just took an insane
gnarly bump. It reminds me of, I think one of the biggest things that I remember, I mean, obviously this is huge, but I also remember as far as like that thing he does, I think in Rush Hour, where he like jumps on the tapestry and like slides down.
That was pretty great.
Like that's the most horrifying thing I've ever seen.
But that one, like, if he achieved it successfully, he'd be totally fine. Right. The one at the end of Police Story, like, he knew he was going to get really hurt. Yeah. And he did it anyway. And he said, like, he was the most, like, so scared before he did that. Like, rightfully so. He could have easily been killed.
I think Jackie Chan, like, at least at this point, any movies, like, that he was doing, if he had done these stunts and he would have fucked them up, he would have died. Yeah. Like, you know, whether it be obviously this one or like the thing in like Rush Hour, it's like you said, if he did it right, he was fine. In this one, it's like if he did it right, he'll live. He still fucked up his hands and all that other shit. Yeah. But like, regardless, either one, if he had fucked up, he would have been dead. Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. But this movie is about Jackie Chan, who is a police officer, and he's going to arrest this like drug kingpin lord guy or whatever, and he's trying to like clear his name, and there's all these like twists and turns and stuff like that. But essentially, there's also like a lady he's trying to keep like safe because she's possibly going to testify against the drug guy because he's just like doing a bunch of horrible shit. He's essentially like they're trying to take down like a Tony Soprano kind of guy or whatever. But this movie came out all the way back in 1985. So, and yeah,
he's definitely in his prime.
Yeah.
And I love this movie so much because I think more than almost any of the Jackie Chan movies, it's the perfect mix of action and comedy.
Yeah.
Because like in a lot of his movies, the comedy does not work or like some stuff doesn't translate well. But in this one, it's pretty darn good.
Yeah. Earlier you were talking about like Drunken Master 2. I think like that one edges this one out for me. As far as like his best film, but I haven't seen all his films, so
I think those are top two if you're gonna go like his two masterpieces. It's these two for me, and then maybe Wheels on Meals, which is pretty darn good.
Yeah, there was a period in which like all of his films, like even his worst film, was better than like most of the action films that have ever been made.
Yep.
And like now, I mean, he doesn't
Don't
have to do
forget
anything
Skip
now.
Trace with him and Johnny Knoxville. The one that
I've never even heard of that before.
It came out like 8 years ago.
I bet that was a piece of shit.
It was bad.
Johnny Knoxville, it's like I feel like he's not bad, but he just he kept doing these roles that were just absolute trash, except for like that one he did with The Rock, I think. Right?
Walking Tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that was like I think one of The Rock's only super great movies in my opinion.
Yep. And The Last Stand, see our previous episode with Arnie.
Yeah, maybe it was good. So this movie, I guess, is just like Night of the Living Dead. As far as like, I guess, is it part of like the historical film, or is Janus Films their like company?
I think that's Criterion's.
Oh, okay.
Any film they release, they'll put that in front.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I was watching it and that happened. I was like, why? So we've got both Golden Harvest Productions and Golden Way Films. So it was like, I guess this is like a bunch of different production companies that are involved in like, I'm assuming this is Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong filmmaking. So at the beginning of this film, like everybody gets these envelopes. Because they're like all doing this like stakeout to try to like bust these criminals. I wonder why, like, why did they have, like, secret jobs that they had to memorize and then destroy them? Like, what? I thought maybe there was going to be a thing where, like, there was a spy among them. But it's like, wouldn't you want to know what everybody else was doing just in case you needed to help them or cover them? Like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. But we've got our first showing of young Ash Jackie Chan here. He like stands up and he's not like the focal point. He's like off to the side almost. Like when he's like, they're all like, you know, yes sir or whatever. It's funny to see because like definitely later on in his career, it's like people go to see these films for Jackie Chan. And as this goes on, obviously, you know, he's the lead of the film for sure. But usually that's like evident right off the bat.
Yeah.
So.
But I think like this is one of his first like directorial
debut
movies, and you can tell he's focusing on making a solid movie and like getting good performances on top of all the action stuff. So he's underrated as a director.
He's like, I did it for me. Like he's like he makes himself like he's like Kevin Smith. He's like makes himself a character called like Silent Chan. Doesn't talk the entire movie, and then at the end he's just like
smokes cigarettes,
cusses out some people. I didn't know. Is this? I guess this is probably a thing, but I just thought it was weird. I thought maybe like in this for the drug deal they use like American money to pay for the drug deal. I guess that's like in Hong Kong. Like, did they just use American cash? I guess
I don't know.
One of the guys is like super obvious. That's like, because they all have these like things, and like one of the dudes is supposed to be scouting, and I guess he's doing it, but like one of the dudes like finds out right away that this dude's a fucking like police guy, because he's like looking around and Jackie Chan's like,
you blew it.
Yeah, you've been fucking made, you idiot. Because he's also like has his like ear thing in, and he's like, check it out. He's like, and then Jackie Chan slaps a woman.
Yeah, it happened.
I don't really remember what that was about. I think she was gonna try to attack him or stab him or something, and he just like slaps her. But then like as soon as I was like, wait a minute, this seems super familiar because this beginning didn't seem familiar at all. But then I was just like, okay, I had a feeling something was gonna go down in this like shanty town because it's like it's prime for fucking destruction. And that's how it starts.
Yeah.
It's a fucking shootout starts going. A dude is telling, like, they're like, get the kids inside, and the dude picks a kid up, and then he puts him right back down right next to himself into an alley. And I was like, productive? He was like... Did you see somebody spray painted piece of shit on the side of the 18-wheeler? It was like POS. And I was like cracking up. But speaking of which, they have like this, I'm sure for at the time and even now, it's like the area they were in seemed like a pretty modern looking area, like it had just been constructed almost. Which makes me think this shantytown was probably made for this movie because they fucking destroyed the shit out of it. Because it's just on like a hill, like an embankment for like a runoff for a turn to like. Mm-hmm. But it's.
And it had ramps built into it. For convenience.
What'd you think about when the dude like pissed his pants? He like goes to like, I guess he's Jackie Chan's like fellow police officer, but he's like, I guess I'm assuming these guys are like rookie enough to not have seen enough action, maybe, but he just kills the guy and then pisses his pants. I thought that was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I
see that a lot in like.
Yeah, Jackie Chan was trying to make this a little bit more intense than his usual.
But it's like, I feel like you don't see that a lot where like you have a character that's like, I guess maybe like scared to kill somebody, and like then they do it and it's like they're so distraught or whatever it is, they like piss themselves. I was like, holy shit, dude. Mm-hmm. So since this is like your foray, you want to talk about like the whole
the village destruction?
Yeah,
I mean it's one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Like it's totally amazing.
Yeah.
Because like you see some wide shots of all the cars like going through the buildings and stuff, but then you start realizing like there's people in there, there's dudes jumping out of the way everywhere, and it's like,
what's also like,
how did no one get killed? It's amazing.
It's also like it kind of comes out of nowhere because at first they're just driving down the hill, but then like you said, like they start going through houses and stuff.
Yeah. And there's tons of dudes in there who almost get run over, and like so cars are destroying
everybody's
everything.
In one house and they'll get munched. He's like, oops.
There's explosions happening. Yeah. Bodies are flying everywhere. Yeah. It's like, this is why I love movies.
Jackie Chan kills everybody. Movie's over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But this is one of the best like action sequences in any of those movies, I think. And they totally ripped it off in Bad Boys 2.
Did they?
Yeah, they did the exact same thing.
Nice.
And it was pretty cool in that movie, too.
Because it was cool in this movie.
Exactly.
I put the action sequences, Jackie Chan's career performance are definitely the best and most shocking. As far as like, this is when you first start seeing in his films, like, what the fuck? Like, at least from what I...
You mean like his rage? Like how he dials up the rage in this movie?
Yeah.
He is totally out of control.
I think like there might be a part in which he does that in like Drunken Master at the very end. Mm-hmm. But this is like... In that movie, from what I remember, he doesn't have anybody really to fight for except for himself. In this movie, it's like his girlfriend, and it's like when the shit goes down, he's like, he's been holding back this whole time. Yeah, like I don't know, just going through like I guess like at the end of this, when there's like, I guess we can go through this as we talk about each scene, but like showing all the like fuck ups and stuff at the end of the film, and then the behind the scenes stuff where like Jackie Chan talks about how like his philosophy to making movies is different than like everyone else, because he comes up with like these cool like action scenes, like sequences, essentially like what he wants to achieve in the film. Like he wants humor, he wants the scene like that we just talked about here where people go through this village. He wants like, you know, the next scene we're going to talk about, like the bus deal, and then like the end scene. And he's like, well, where do we put him in the film? And he's like, well, we're having a drug deal, so then we go through the village, and it's like, then the movie comes together and they fill it in, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, it's, yeah. I think it works really well too, especially for action films, because a lot of times action films I feel like can either be too light on the action and it's a little too generic for it to really stand out, or like they try to go super heavy on the story, but the story they try to tell is not anything really worth telling, so it kind of takes over from the action. Whereas this, like you were saying, it's like the humor, the story, and like the little set pieces they have is like, it has like a very happy medium for everything.
Yep, totally.
So, and then we get into like the next action sequence, which is like, it just goes straight into it. These dudes are getting away, and they get into this like bus, and like he starts chasing after them on foot, and he like grabs this umbrella, and it's like, what the fuck is he gonna do with this umbrella? And he like runs down a 90-degree incline, and or no,
90 degrees. He's like, yeah,
actually, that's not possible. He'd die. He grabs onto the bus with the with the umbrella and does some fighting and some other cool stuff, but gets knocked off. But then he runs down that incline, and he does like the original Tango and Cash with the Magnum.
Yeah, if you've seen any Jackie Chan highlight reel, this is always on there. This is one of his most iconic stunts.
And it's on the front of I
super
think
dangerous.
the thing where he's like, a lot of the covers is like him like, it's like a stylized picture of him like holding on to just the bus with just the umbrella. Like that's it. It's like,
yeah, and it's making like hard turns, and he gets flung around and stuff.
And he's like running over the tops of cars.
Super impressive.
Yeah,
it's awesome,
really cool. And
but that Tango and Cash like totally ripped off the
except for like in this one,
the guys had to go to the hospital, because they got so hurt.
This one it was like he was shooting. He didn't shoot at the thing. He shot like in the air or whatever, and it like made the bus driver stop, and everybody like flew out the front. Which
those guys were supposed to land on the car. And it was a screw up, and they hit the ground. They dropped 2 stories and hit the pavement, and like had to go to the hospital. It's crazy.
They looked fucked up.
Yeah,
they looked fucked up
because they landed on their necks.
They were dead.
On concrete.
They had to go to the fucking morgue. So I just realized 2 of my like picks back to back had double-decker bus chases. Somehow.
I didn't realize that. What are the odds? You got to keep it going, man.
Next week I'll pick, next pick I'll pick like the Harry Potter movie with a double-decker bus, and
there's got to be one in Austin Powers.
Yeah, well, there's one in Piccadilly Circus, but I don't think there's a chase with it. So unless you count trying to get off Piccadilly Circus as a chase. Jackie Chan plays a character named Chan. Then we've got a dude being a kiss ass. Jackie becomes, because since he busted this dude, they end up making him like the spokesman for the department, and he has to take all these photos and stuff. So they have all these like, things where he's just like, freeze, and he's like doing all this other stuff. And one of the photos, he's like arresting a dude that might actually be smoking real opium. I was like, what? But he's like,
it's funny stuff.
They're like arresting this guy in an opium den, but it's like this square that they just dress up and stuff. So they're discussing using the secretary lady as a leverage as a witness, and the chief is throwing darts, and he's throwing them right between two darts boards. Like he couldn't be more off hitting the dartboard if he tried, because it's literally right between them. And then like he throws another dart, and it's like literally that close to hitting the actual actor, and you can see him flinch. I'm like, good lord,
is that really necessary?
I was like, did we have to have like the regular actors that aren't Jackie Chan doing stupid stunts like this?
Almost getting messed up.
Yeah, getting blinded. And then they both throw darts and they land like right at the ground. It's like, so
that's
funny.
the kind of stuff that it's just like there's no reason for it, but it's just funny.
Yeah, it's like it's showing that like his two bosses are like limp dicks. They're like assholes. They kind of come through for him at the end, but it's like they're definitely like their hands are tied, like bureaucratic crap. Jackie's like trying to hit on the witness, like the lady that's like the secretary that's gonna be like testifying or whatever. And then a dude shows up with a knife. It's like horrifying. And then I was like, man, this guy like. First I was like, what the fuck is this? This guy's like a joke. What's going on? He's like pretending to kill her, and then you find out, oh wait, this is like his friend, like trying to kill her so she'll like turn on her boss and like, you know, testify or whatever. Mm-hmm. The music was very like synth horror jokey, which I thought was kind of cool because I use it later on in the film too, but it's very like 1980s.
Yeah, that's a funny scene.
Yeah. He's got some cool like stuff here where he gets knocked out 2 times and he's like fighting with the body, like he's still awake. He's still awake. It's very like Jackie Chan, like, you know.
There's a lot of like farce elements in this, which sometimes that doesn't work for me, but it really does in this movie. Like I think it nails it.
I think Jackie Chan stuff usually is pretty good because it's very like.
Yeah, I think more of the Sammo Hung movies. It gets the comedy like either doesn't translate or it becomes like too creepy.
I don't know if I've ever like watched one of those, the Sammo Hung film.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and Jackie's in a lot of them, and the comedy in those doesn't work.
Jackie Chan's movies, if there's any sort of like stuff with like women, it's not creepy. It's more so just him being like, because like he'll flirt or he'll try to like be like, oh, and then he'll be like shocked, like, oh, she's into me, but then she'll like say, you know, turn him down, and then it's like he puts himself as like the butt of the joke, whereas like you were saying, like some comedy stuff like that, it would just come off as like Master Roshi, like somebody looking up a woman's skirt, or
I was thinking like
panties. It's like, what?
I just watched the Lucky Stars series, which is like Sammo Hung directs them, I believe, but Jackie Chan usually has a small part or a cameo.
Right.
But basically, the Lucky Stars are like these 5 weird dudes who only try to get with women. And there's this one scene where like 4 of them get in a bed and they put a sheet over top, so they pretend to be a bed, and like the lady lays down, and then they're like tee tee. And it's like this is
fucking weird.
Yeah. This is assault. Just stuff like that.
Lay down on a bed. Yeah, what the fuck? She's like, why does this bed feel bony?
But I was thankful that, you know, the comedy in this movie is not doesn't go down that route.
Jackie Chan's like I think it's usually family friendly in that aspect enough where it's not like it never reaches like creepiness. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything to do with like him and women, he's usually like the butt of the joke.
Right.
So yeah, I know what you're talking about though, that kind of stuff. It's like, dude, is this necessary? That sounds pretty weird.
You're like, I'm picking that next week. Twinkle, twinkle, lucky stars.
I'm just taking your pick. Mine now. So then he like talks to his boss on the phone and is just like, yeah, she's, you know, I'm quitting. And then he fights a ton of dudes in this like the actual guy, like her boss actually sends people to like kill her.
Baseball bat fight.
And he like, you know, is going nuts on
This is his signature style, where like basically he gets attacked by a bunch of dudes, and he basically has to play defense.
He's just right, yeah. He just defends the whole time, but by defending, he knocks people out.
Right, and he uses props. Like in this case, there's a couple cars,
and
like
going
car
in and out of the cars,
a bunch throwing guys
stuff
through windshields. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Then we got.
But I noticed one of the guys had just a real long wrench, and I was like, "Where'd he get that?"
I'm glad you said something because I forgot to write a note about it, but I was like, what is this shit? Like, the only time I've ever seen that is I think one of the dudes in Indiana Jones had one of those at one point,
like the
and
mechanic.
it's like Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
because they all like went to the sporting goods store to get aluminum baseball bats to beat the hell out of someone, but one guy just
why would there be
wrench.
a fucking wrench at a sporting goods store?
That henchman didn't get the memo.
And the guy's like Sammy Sosa. He was fucking wrenching his bat. So after this, like, they go to his place and his girlfriend's throwing him a party, and I guess he forgot it was his girlfriend, and like the woman he brings home is like, you know, she's just in her like underwear essentially, not like underwear, but she's like, I guess, you know, it's like her sleepwear, but like, of course we've got the Jackie Chan like misunderstanding sequence where like, you know, you're an asshole, you know, and stuff like that, and it's just like, be fine. I mean, like, he likes his girlfriend. And,
yeah, I do like the relationship between Jackie and his girlfriend in this movie, like Maggie Cheung.
Yeah, because
and I think that adds to the comedy because like he keeps screwing up and.
But it's like it's one of those things where it's like, I like that they didn't do the thing where Jackie Chan just tries to get with this other woman. It's like he's playfully acting with her and stuff, but like, he's saying like the wrong things when his girlfriend's in the next room and he doesn't know she's there and all this other stuff, and like at the end of the day though, like, she is like, go get him and stuff, like she's behind him, and then she goes to actually help at the end of the film, and like that's what sets off him going apeshit because she gets like hurt in the process, which those stunts she did were kind of fucking out of control. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So Jackie says something about not getting birthday cake, but it went all over his face, so that he's a liar. He
called him out.
He got cake twice. So I don't know if this is just like, so Jackie says like, he pulled like a get some cigars out of your dad's humidor thing on the lady. He was like, want something to drink? Get it out of the fridge. And I was like, I don't know why that was the first thing I thought of. I was like,
that's funny.
And then another person hits him with a cake. But where are all these cakes coming from? I guess
cake party.
Whenever someone has a birthday, everybody brings a cake. I've never had that happen to me in my life, but maybe that's what I should do.
You don't live in China.
I just want a cake. So she's at his place and she sees a picture of the dude that like attacked her, and she sees it's Jackie Chan's friend, and she's like,
I think that guy's name, he goes by Mars, and he's like one of the, he always plays a goofier character.
Yeah, he plays his like,
he's hilarious in this.
Yeah. There's a couple like turncoats in this film, it seems like a friend of his, like, and then like, or not a friend, but I guess it's like a roommate of his, and then like a coworker, and it's like,
a lot of these movies have
people that backstab,
are about corruption and the police and stuff
taking
like that.
The money,
so, because I think a lot of that was going on, and probably still is in almost every country.
Yeah.
So,
so then we've got like the court proceedings, and like we've got dudes wearing old wigs. I guess that was a thing in Hong Kong, or people in the courts. They don't do that in America. I think they probably still do it in some countries. Like I think England, they probably do that with, just because it's like,
they're colonialized countries, man.
Yeah. So, so then he says like, taped evidence can't be used in the court, and then like, the judge is like, I'll allow it. I'm like, why would that not be allowed?
Yeah.
I was like, that makes zero sense.
Well, that's part of the law.
Right. But no, I'm saying it makes zero sense that if the judge had said it's not allowed. Like
that he allows it?
No, it makes zero sense that the lawyer was like the defendant of the bad guy was just like, we can't allow this taped evidence. I'm like, why not? Like, I didn't get that.
I think some taped evidence is inadmissible in court if it was under certain circumstances.
Well, I mean, that could be any evidence.
You can't illegally record people under certain circumstances, I think is what's going on.
Oh, okay. But, like, they didn't mention any of that. He
No.
was just saying... I don't think that played into it at all. I think he was just saying that can't be allowed into evidence, and the guy was just like, the judge overruled it. I was kind of confused, like, what the fuck that guy was even, like, objecting to, because he didn't say that it was anything to do with that. But then, having said that, since you brought that up, this was fucking without her knowledge that he was taping this. So this was fucking bullshit evidence. But it's also like, yeah, anyway. So instead, like, a random song plays, and then they've got this misunderstanding from earlier that I guess was being taped, where, like, Jackie Chan essentially is talking about, like, his cactus that she sits on, and she's like, oh, it's poking me, and, you know, I'm all wet now, and stuff like that, and everybody's laughing, and, like, the judge is laughing, and I'm like, is this, like, an Adam Sandler movie now? Like, if a judge was laughing in a court like that, it's like, this guy needs to be, like, kicked out of being a judge. It's, like, totally non-partial.
Yeah, that is like a scene straight out of Deuce Bigelow.
Right. It's like, come on. So, like, for a little bit, like, I was watching this in another room, and I didn't have my Criterion, and I went back to it. But, like, in an interview, they called him Sergeant Jackie Chan. But then when I went back to Criterion, it was the regular name. So I don't know if there's certain versions out there that, like, the version, you know what I mean? I'm sure there are a ton of different versions of this that have been, like, subtitled and dubbed and all this other crap, but, like,
yeah, I don't understand how all the translation stuff works.
It was like they didn't even try, because in earlier things, like on the Criterion, his name was Chan, but it wasn't like they didn't just use his name Jackie Chan. You know what I mean? It was like Chan, like, what's the rest of his...
Ka-Kui Chan.
Yeah. But, like...
I don't understand all that.
But I guess in this, the person dubbing, like, forgot what the fuck they were talking about, and they were just like, Sergeant Jackie Chan, and then I went back to the Criterion, and it was not the same thing. I was like, I don't know if you noticed this, but, like, in one of the scenes when the boss was talking to this henchman about maybe, like, getting rid of, like, the lady now, because she knows, like, there was some weird blurry stuff on the bottoms of the screen in some scenes.
I didn't notice that.
And I think that's, like, having to do with, like, just how the film was
could be
made back in the day, because it was, like, on the Criterion and on, like, the other version that I watched, and I was like, is this on the one version? And I went to the Criterion and it was the same thing, so it was like, it was just on the very bottom, it was just very blurry, so I think it was something to do with, like, the camera.
Yeah, maybe the type of lens they used or something. I didn't notice.
But the boss looks, like, tiny in his chair because the dude's standing up, the guy's sitting down, and he's also, like, slouching. So it's like, this is not looking posing at all. So speaking of turncoats, it's the co-worker, and, like, he's here essentially to be like, I want more money, because I just want to, like, retire and start up my own business and just not be part of the police force, because it's like, I think this is the dude that, like, pissed his pants earlier. So I don't know if that played into it, but now that I brought it up, that might be the case. But it's kind of weird to go from being too scared to shoot somebody and pissing your pants to getting in league with the fucking mob. Like, oh, I have the balls for that. Okay. Dude's Jackie's
Johnny Chan.
Jackie Chan's roommate comes home and says, I need the John. I'm desperate. I was like,
we've all been there.
Yeah. It was like buzzer beater. So then we've got Jackie playing a game of answering a bunch of random calls, which is another.
This is one of my favorite
cool
scenes
action
in the movie.
scenes, because it's, even though it's like goofy, it's like an action Buster Keaton-y, funny scene kind of dealio.
Yep, it's great.
But I don't know if you saw this or like realize, you know, it's like he answers a call where someone says, "I've been raped," and another one where a lady was beaten by her husband.
Comedy gold right there.
Huh? And it's like it plays into the comedy a bit. I mean, I hate to say that, but it plays into it because he picks up the phone because he's getting all mixed up because there's so many people calling and no one else is there. And he picks up a phone where, like, I guess somebody's cow had been taken or animal had been taken. And he's like, you were raped? And the guy or girl was like, no, my cow or bull or whatever was taken. And it's just like...
It was hilarious.
But it's like when the person answers, the person's like, I've been raped. And I was just like, holy shit. It's like, good God.
Oh, man.
That's ridiculous.
It's a classic scene.
Yeah. It's a great
scene. Did we miss
scene.
the part where, was it before that where he stepped in the dog poop and did a little dance?
Oh, yeah, I think you're... Yeah. You want to talk about that?
That's pretty much it.
What happens, though?
They start playing, like, beatbox.
Yeah.
Like boombox music.
Yeah.
And he starts moonwalking a little bit. It's like, is this a scene out of Police Story? Like,
it was.
It was not necessary. It was just funny.
Yeah, it's like
the random humor in this.
It's like Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen. It's like when he's like, out of here! Starts moonwalking. It's like, what? And so he's eating noodles with pencils because he has no chopsticks. And he eats the erasers. And he's like, wah, wah! And I'm like...
It cracks me up.
Like, why?
It didn't make me want to eat some ramen.
Well, the funny thing about before that whole thing is, like, right before he's, like, about to eat, he goes around and takes all the phones off the hook, which I thought was really funny. Because he had just gone through... It's like the more I watch like these early Jackie Chan films, I see a lot of like influence from this to like the original Dragon Ball series because it was more like comedy and like this with Jackie Chan where there was action.
Nice.
But there was a lot of like stuff like this where like comedy stuff would happen and it would be like, you know, all over the place. Because they even have like the character like Master Roshi dresses up as Jackie Chun. Like obviously like supposed to be Jackie Chan in one of the tournaments.
Nice.
So this part makes no sense. I put this, so I don't know what this is yet, so I could be completely wrong here.
The adventure of reading your
notes. Well, I don't remember what this is yet, so
we'll find out together.
So handbrake doesn't work on the car. Okay, so now I remember what this is. So the handbrake doesn't work on Jackie's car, and he's on like a hill, and he's like coming out to talk to his girlfriend. He's just like, hold on, I gotta go make a call, you know, hold the car for me. You know, and she's like, you know, whatever, she does it. He runs to a phone booth, and it's down the hill quite a significant way. And this car's on a hill, and it's like, you know, would have picked up a lot of steam. And he's on the call, and next thing he like looks over, and she's standing there, and she's talking to him. And then out of nowhere, the car comes flying down the hill and like takes out the phone booth. But I was like, how in the hell did the car not pass both of them while they were just standing there before she got there? If that makes any sense. Like, the car would have been way faster than she could have made it down the hill to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I guess it's not... I just thought it was kind of like, wait a minute, because she, like, warps over there. But, like, there's this ridiculous thing where it, like, takes out... It almost takes out both of them. Like, the car, and it, like, crashes. And then he has to, like, find other means, I guess. So this is when Jackie Chan's... Jackie Chan is, like, going to go rescue the witness and the secretary lady. And he kicks a guy out the window. And a bunch of other out-of-control stuff happens with cushions and, you know, stuff.
Another great fight scene.
Yeah. And then so this lady jumps off a roof into a pool.
That's a wild stunt.
Yeah.
That's
and I
very
was
impressive.
like, dude, what the fuck? And so
if you miss, it's all over.
Fucked. So he gets, I think this is a point where he like they knock him out, right, or something, because they're gonna plan to kill him. But the guy's like, wait, we need his ass to frame him.
Nice.
So yeah, that was they essentially, Jackie Chan wakes up like, and he's like, where the fuck am I? And they like, because like what happens is his coworker gets killed by the people he was in league with, the mob or whatever, and they end up like framing Jackie Chan. And they like charge him for murder, and Jackie Chan goes fucking nuts, and he turns the chief into like a puppet because he's like, don't fucking do anything, I'll blow his fucking head off. And he's like, you know, he gets out of the police station and, you know, drives off with him, and he's like has him at gunpoint, and then he's like, stop, get out, you know, that kind of a thing. And he's like, I wouldn't have shot you. And he's like, I know you wouldn't have, I'll give you a head start. And I was like, what the fuck? It's like, so this guy was like, pretty much, it seemed like the only person that believed in Jackie Chan from the start, but it's just like, there was no indication that he did. But this is one of those things where it goes in line with like some of the other stuff for Jackie Chan films, where you have someone that's a turncoat, and then you have somebody that's like actually a truly good person, but you think he's an asshole, and then you find out, oh, he's actually like a really, you know, he believed in Jackie, and they're like now close kind of thing. Usually a person in power, like his boss or something like that. And a dude gets crashed by a forklift.
Yeah, pretty much from here on out, it's like an action extravaganza. Yeah. It's like one of the best things I've ever seen in a movie.
So it goes to the mall. I'm not going to go down every single thing here, and if you want to add some stuff in here, totally go for it. But I have some iconics. I mean, this whole thing is from beginning to end, like you said. Like, it's like, holy shit. But some of the highlights of this for me, or, you know, that jumped out to me at least, is a dude falls between 3 escalators down 3 floors. Jackie goes over an escalator through a lattice thing.
Yeah, the thing about these stunts that are different from like other stunts you'd see in the day is like you see the guys land, like in, you know,
there's no cutting away because they're hitting
them fall.
Yeah, because they're hitting a crash pad.
Yeah, but like you see these dudes just hit the floor. And
yeah, it's like
it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's the difference. That like, you know, you see these guys getting really hurt. It's like, holy cow.
Right.
And sometimes a few of the stunts, like Jackie will fall off a thing and like hit the ground, and then he'll continue fighting. Yeah. He'll get up and keep going. And
that's
it's
what
like,
happens at the very last thing, and it's like, how? Yeah. Especially that one when we get to it.
Because then almost every time you see a fall stunt, it's like you hit the ground and it's over, or you don't even see him hit the ground. Yeah. And this one, he actually gets back up and keeps going.
Yeah. Lady goes through display for slow down moan. She's like, oh!
The amount of broken glass in this movie is ridiculous, and it's just like makes the stunts even more spectacular.
Yeah, there's like actually a part where Jackie Chan's head goes through the glass.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
And it's zoomed in kind of, so it's like going towards the screen.
And a lot of times they would just use real glass. It's like, dude, help yourselves out here a little bit. Like,
then he takes on 7 dudes at once. Stunt work with a motorcycle. Specifically, there's a part where like this guy gets a motorcycle and he like goes to run over Jackie Chan, and he like goes under the bottom step on like a 2-step thing in a department store, and he drives over Jackie Chan, missing him, and then Jackie Chan like attacks him. Guy does a backflip belly flop onto an escalator that must have killed. Okay. It massive killed.
He was massively killed. Yeah, that one had to hurt.
That one was the most fucked up one, I think, of all of them, as far as for what I think.
Like, imagine your shins like landing on
and he like
escalator stairs, like destroying your...
Well, not bounced.
He did.
He like went down the whole thing, and I was like, dude, this guy's fucked. Like, I bet he has so many...
Get him a body bag!
Do you have anything else really like that you can think of for stunts before like the very
it's
you're like, fuck no.
What can I say? Like, every time I watch this movie, this final sequence blows me away.
So Jackie slides for the last stunt of the movie. I guess I can't like what's it called? Go past the stunts we talked about earlier with like his girlfriend, where like she gets like there's like a 2-flight steps, and she gets like hit and pushed, and she rolls down the steps, which she could have fucking easily broken her fucking neck, and then like when they come down the steps, they push her again, and she just like fucking belly flops onto the very like that entire flight of steps, and it's like, what the fuck? But Jackie's like, so he's at the top of the entire thing, and like he's thrown the briefcase that has the evidence in it down, and that's when his girlfriend gets it, and she gets like her ass beat by the bad guys, and that's what sets him off, and he jumps on this like Christmas time light thingy or whatever. It's like a pole
from the top of the mall,
and as he goes down, like these lights are busting, and he's like holding onto this like pole, and he goes down with like nothing on his hands or anything, and he hits the ground, and like his hands like have no skin on them after the fact from what he said. But they play it specifically. I remember this because they play it 3 times, like for good reason, because it's like you can tell
one of the most amazing
proud
things.
as fuck of this stunt. They play it from 3 different angles because like they got all these cameras angles of it, because it's like this is the fucking huge.
Do you think
stunt.
it's his best stunt of his career?
It's probably his most memorable stunt. I mean, one of the only other stunts I can think of that's like is memorable in a different way, obviously not height-wise, because it's obviously not, I don't think it's always about that, but like when he went over those coals in Drunken Master 2, like actual burning coals on his hands, that was fucking ridiculous when I first saw that. As far as for like, you know, obviously that one's like burns and shit, but like this one, it's like, you know, some of the, obviously the height ones are like the more dangerous ones because they're like, if you fuck this up, you're dead. So, but those are the ones I think of, at least like as far as like his big like ending movie deals.
Yeah, I think it's probably his best. The other one that comes to mind is The Accidental Spy. At the end of that movie, he's riding on the side of like a gas semi-trailer truck, and they're on top of this huge bridge that's like thousands of feet in the air, and they drive the truck off the bridge,
and he's holding on,
and he, as it's going off the edge, he like grabs a net on the side of the bridge, and like the net like rips, but he like dangles.
Yeah, he has to
from
kind of like
basically
hold. Yeah, dude,
and I don't even know if he did that one, but that's pretty spectacular. But again, with this one, he knew he was going to get really hurt.
Yeah.
Like, he got shredded. I think he got electrocuted like on the way down because he's going through like glass and all kinds of crap, wires and stuff. So, did you notice how he like screams before he jumps?
Yeah,
because he's like to amp himself up. Basically.
Yeah. He
like barks. He barks like a dog.
I'm like, nuh-uh, not true. But yeah, he talks about that kind of stuff, and it's just like he looked at it a bunch before he did it. So after the stunt, I honestly thought Jackie was gonna be in a 5-mile-wide tombstone.
Well played.
But seriously though, dude, when you watch this, but like you really don't even get the chance. Like, you are shocked, but like Jackie seriously gets up and he doesn't even get up. He just hits the ground and moves. It's not like he like lays down or anything.
Yeah.
But like Jackie's like, I'm gonna kill this guy, and like
I can't think of the time where he's like more rageful than at the end of this movie.
Because of all the shit that's happened, like all this other crap, they've turned like people against him, and then like they beat the fuck out of his like girlfriend. Or they didn't beat the shit out of her, but they like threw her down some stairs, and she could have been fucked up hardcore.
Yep.
And like they're just like low life pieces of shit. And like the lawyer shows up, and he's just like, don't say anything, you know, and all this crap. And then like Jackie Chan beats the shit out of the lawyer and then the underboss. And then like they're about to take away like the main boss. And the one dude, he says something, and he like just turns around and just fucking like
lays waste.
He's like hitting the fuck out of him super fast. in his stomach, and then like kicks him over the thing, and then his boss is like, "No, Jackie, no!" And then like the one dude, like the guy in charge, is just like, "I didn't see anything," and I was like, "Dude, so good."
And I love the ending.
Yeah,
because it ends on a freeze frame of like,
and it has
him
outtakes.
being restrained, basically. Which like that's the perfect ending. Like that's what more do you need?
Actually, the best ending for this is the outtakes.
Yeah.
It's a Jackie Chan staple.
Love them.
Yeah.
Wish every movie had them.
I don't. Because it ruins movies. Just like this movie. 0 stars! No, it actually works really well in this movie. This is like honestly a thing that Jackie Chan does better than anybody. Mm-hmm. Because he actually has a reason to show the outtakes. Because it's like, this is... Well, they're not like outtakes of people like fucking up their lines. They're outtakes of people being like carted off in fucking hospital fucking gurneys. There's like people being taken away and hurt, and there's like one guy like, oh, like fucking.
I thought you were gonna say people being taken away in a hearse.
As he's singing like that song at the end, like the hero song or whatever. Jackie Chan.
He does it all, man.
Wonderful singer.
Yep.
But yeah, we've got some great outtakes. Trying to think. I mean, obviously, there's a bunch of like people being fucked up and stuff like that. But like, they play the one thing again at the end. They kind of re-show some of the last action scenes, and they show the things that fucked up in the town, and they show like some of those scenes again. They show like, people, just being carted off, and people like Jackie Chan directing, and he doesn't have a shirt on because it's probably hotter than fuck out, and all this other stuff, and it's just like really cool.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Love it.
I'll go through a couple extras here. Jackie Chan, Edgar Wright was talking about him. He says Jackie Chan is a mix between Bruce Lee, Buster Keaton, and Harold Lloyd. Mixing action with comedy that hadn't been done before is one of the reasons why he remembers like being blown away about Jackie Chan. We talked about Jackie Chan on his movie making process. Action first, then story, mall fight, bus, chase, comedy, cargo down village, working these into scripts. Then he talks about like people, like ask him like why he still does it and stuff like that. He's like, you're rich, and you have fans, and he says, yeah, but what about my team, and what about the fans? Like he just likes to do it to like give back, and I'm sure he gets a rush from doing the stunts. Jackie talking leading up to the sliding down the pole, skin going off his hands, fellow crew member hugging him. He says so nerve-wracking. He's like, I had to like you said, bark at the end like a dog. He doesn't like actually bark, just for people that haven't seen this film. He's not like,
dude, you could edit it.
That would be hilarious.
Bark sound over that, and it would look like he was barking.
He's like, who let the dogs up? I'd be like, what? Then there's did you watch this, the Jackie Chan My Stunts? So this opening is the most like, I wouldn't say annoying, but it's like
it was the era, like the early 2000s was so the most obnoxious
shit.
Yeah,
like the design for it was like, it's like Jackie Chan My Stunts, but like the letters were like fused in, so it was like that thing on The Walking Dead where it says like don't open dead inside, but it says like don't dead open inside. It's like, did anybody look at this?
Jackie Stunts, My Chan.
So really cool stuff. He actually shows you how to do like some of the stunts, and like, they show like how a chair looks like it's fucking disintegrates. They like saw it apart, then like put it back together with strings and stuff, and Jackie Chan's holding it, and the guy hits it, and like he like lets go of the strings, and it just like blows apart with baby powder and stuff, and like
powder.
Yeah, powder. But like, he's like, it's cheap, but it's effective or whatever. And I was just like, dude, because he essentially was talking about how like, he's like, in American cinema, they would probably just CG this and it'd be more expensive and be easier and stuff like that. But we do it on the cheap. And I was like, yeah, it looks fucking awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
A lot of other cool,
simple is better.
A lot of cool stuff and stunts that like he shows how to do. It reminded me a lot of that like those specials they had back in the day of like reveal the magic, or like the magicians like reveal how the tricks are done. But like this was actually like informative. I mean, not like I guess that wasn't, but it's not like I'm gonna go out and. I guess I'm not gonna go out and do magic or this, but
you're not gonna make an airplane disappear off a runway.
Yeah. No. Overall, I mean, can you think of any other special effects? Or can you think of any other special?
Jackie Chan is a human special effect.
Can you think of any other like special features on this that you watched that you had like standout things from, or
no?
Yeah, it's a great Blu-ray though. I mean, or if you aren't a Jackie Chan, you don't own the Police Story 1 and 2 thing. I assume the reason why Police Story 3 isn't on there is because from what I've heard, it's not super great. It's kind of like
it's not as good.
Because it kind of takes over.
But that's where it does introduce Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, like awesome. Someone else kind of comes in. It's funny because like in,
that's what the Police Story series has become super convoluted.
Yeah, it's kind of out of control.
Yeah, Police Story 3, Super Cop, and then there's a Super Cop 2.
Yeah,
with Michelle Yeoh and no Jackie Chan.
Yeah,
or maybe he has a cameo, but yeah,
cameo.
Police Story 2 is really good too.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll eventually talk about that.
I think the action is just about as good. The comedy.
He goes up a pole. He's like, woo!
They just played the same thing in reverse.
I'd be like, how? Or I guess playing it in reverse would be the easiest part. I'm like, how did they do it? It's like they reversed the footage.
Yeah, man. Police Story rules.
Rule week.
It's like everything else drools.
That's what Jackie Chan was doing before he did this stunt. He was drooling and then he barked like a dog.
He was drooling like a dog.
He's like, it's like, I don't know why he would sound like an ape, but I give this a 9.95.
Same.
Great film.
9.95. In my book, like, this is why I love movies, or movies like this.
Actually, this is why I hate movies. They piss me the fuck off.
You'll see things in this movie like that you won't see anywhere else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's great.
So, unless you're watching Bad Boys 2.
Or Tango and Cash.
When they just rip it off.
Yeah.
But
if you're going to steal from the best.
Yeah. Don't come up with anything original. Yeah, great film. Jackie Chan, I don't have anything bad to say about Jackie Chan, personally.
He's one of the best.
I can't think of anybody that's action-wise offered me more joy in my life. The comedy is always for you to watch and enjoy. So what are we watching next week?
All right, so we've had a lot of we've had a lot of 9.95s recently. So this one may not quite.
You said I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what we're gonna watch next week, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be great. Or what'd you say? You're like, it's
doozy.
Doozy. So are you gonna do weird watches first here or feature? Or?
There's a theme.
Okay, sweet.
But so I'm kind of going into this one like Tusk.
Okay.
Where I've seen this movie, but I'm not sure if it's secretly great or horrible. So I wanted to get your.
I'll keep an open mind.
Because you may love it.
You're like Tusk 2.
We're watching Tusk again.
You're like Tusk 2 from the top.
But the theme for next week is buddies. And the feature presentation is, I'll give you a guess. I'll give you a couple hints.
Okay. I'll give you a guess and I'll get it off.
Give me a hint and you can guess. It's directed by the director of Rocky and Karate Kid.
Okay.
And it stars John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
I already like the idea of this. But this must have been a huge flop or something. Damn. I thought I knew. It's probably just something I can't remember at the moment. But
I'm hoping it's something that
a buddy
are not familiar with.
Movie?
It's a buddy movie.
It's
a movie about buddies. Or are they?
Oh, shit.
It's called Neighbors from 1981.
Neighbors? Okay.
I think it was a huge flop. But it reteamed the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
With diminishing returns. We'll find out. And then
wait, which Belushi?
John.
For some reason he said Jim. I was like, Wait, redeemed them.
Blues Brothers 2000.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And Weird Watches is Bosom Buddies. We're finally going to watch
cool.
that. So
who's in that one? Isn't it like
Tom Hanks
Yeah.
and some other dude?
Some other guy that's more famous than Tom Hanks. Hanks Tom.
So I think it may be horrible, it may be awesome, but it will definitely be interesting to talk about.
But you've seen Neighbors before, right?
I have.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see. You never know with these kinds of things. I mean, just because I mean, you brought up Tusk or whatever, and it was one of those things where, like, I don't know, I might have been too harsh on it. Maybe if I watched it again, I wouldn't hate it as much, but same thing with, like, Universal Soldier. Maybe I just was going ape shit that week for some reason. Yeah. John Belushi. What the fuck?
He's like, yeah, nightmare.
What the fuck? Yeah, like John Belushi is playing
basically
the regular dude.
Yeah, they play against type. So Belushi's the straight man and Aykroyd's the maniac. So
IRL. He's like, yeah. But yeah, that sounds pretty cool, man. Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm excited to rewatch it because, like I said, the first time I saw it, I didn't know what to make of it. I was like, I need help.
I need
an adult.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I think we had a good time this week.
That was a great pick, man.
I was loving the Jackie Chanage.
Yep.
So I guess that's all we have to say. You know, there's no Police Story 4 though. We'll put in the outtakes so everybody can see what we're talking about. Okay. I guess until next week, guys, we'll see ya.
Bye. Hey, Mike! It's time to watch Police Story 4. Come on in. I don't know why I said Police Story 4.
Did you say Police Story? Hell yeah! No, why the hell would I leave the door open? Did you say Police Story?
Whoa. Mike, come on in. It's time to watch Police Story 4.
Did you say Police Story 4?
Let's do this. Yeah, man. Do it one more time. I said Police Story 4 again.
Oh, yeah.